Let's turn Tangled characters into their opposites. And you better stay to the end, or else. This is how Craig turns characters into their opposites. I take a character, for example, Olaf, and Craig finds their 3 main attributes and key color. Then I ask Craig to flip those to their opposites. And he prints the character as their opposite version. And just like the movie Tangled has a poster, I made one that will reveal each character as their opposite. Now that my computer is connected to Craig, let's begin. Starting with Flynn Rider. You know, the smolder guy.
Hey.
Craig, what are the 3 main attributes and key color of Flynn Rider? So according to Craig, his first attribute is charming. He uses wit to navigate tricky situations, like when he distracts Rapunzel during their first meeting. The second is adventurous. He seeks excitement, as shown in his pursuit of the crown and the journey to the floating lights. Third is self-redemptive. He grows into a selfless hero, sacrificing himself for Rapunzel. And the color he's most seen in is dark blue. Okay, Craig, what is the opposite of charming, adventurous, self-redemptive, and dark blue? So according to Craig, the opposite of charming is awkward, the opposite of adventurous is cautious, and the opposite of self-redemptive is unrepentant, and the opposite of dark blue is orange. Okay, Craig, with these new attributes and color, make us Flynn Rider as his opposite. I can definitely see the awkwardness. Cautious? I'm not seeing cautiousness. And unrepentant? I mean, I guess so. I don't know. And as far as his new color being orange, I could definitely see that. Let's see how this version of Flynn Rider would impact the storyline of Tangled. Because Flynn Rider is awkward, he tried to convince Rapunzel to free him, but fails. Since he's cautious, he'd refuse to take her to the floating lights, fearing the danger. Because he's unrepentant, in the end, he'd keep the crown and leave Rapunzel in danger. Craig, I love the awkward charm you gave Flynn, but let's be honest, his smolder's not the greatest. It's not as good as mine. I'm gonna give you a 6 out of 10. Now let's add Flynn Rider to the poster. There he is, awkwardly smoldering in the background, like me in every picture. Next is Pascal, the most expressive little chameleon. Craig, what are the 3 main attributes and key color of Pascal? So according to Craigers, Pascal's first attribute is loyal. He's always by Rapunzel's side, supporting her through thick and thin. The second is expressive. He communicates through exaggerated facial expressions. Third is protective. He defends Rapunzel fiercely, despite his small size. And the color he is most seen in is green. Okay, Craig, what is the opposite of loyal, expressive, protective, and the color green? So according to Craig, the opposite of loyal is disloyal, the opposite of expressive is apathetic, and the opposite of protective is cowardly. And the opposite of green is red. Okay, Craig, with these new attributes and color, make us Pascal as his opposite. I can see disloyal, and then apathetic, I don't know, I'd have to talk to him to get to know. Cowardly, I think he looks pretty cowardly. And as for the color red, I can definitely see that because he's all red. Now let's see how this version of Pascal would impact the storyline of Tangled. Because Pascal is disloyal, he'd abandon Rapunzel when Gothel returned. Since he's apathetic, he'd show no emotion during intense moments. Because he's cowardly, in the end, he'd run away instead of defending Rapunzel. Craig, I have no idea how you did it, but it looks like you're staring right into my soul. So I'm gonna give you a 7.5 out of 10. Let's add him to the poster. Yeah, I'm not gonna make eye contact with that, Pascal. Next is Maximus, the horse that takes chasing your dreams a bit too literally. And by dreams, I mean Flynn Rider. I'm gonna get you, Flynn. Craig, what are the 3 main attributes and key color of Maximus? According to Craig, his first attribute is determined. He relentlessly pursues Flynn throughout the movie. The second is honorable. He sticks to his moral code, even when it complicates things. Third is playful. He shares lighthearted moments despite his serious mission. And the color he's most seen in is white. Okay, Craig, what is the opposite of determined, honorable, playful, and the color white? So according to Craig, the opposite of determined is indifferent, the opposite of honorable is dishonorable, and the opposite of playful is stern. And the opposite color of white is black. Okay, Craig, using these new attributes and key color, make us Maximus as his opposite. indifferent, she looks pretty indifferent. As dishonorable, sure. As for stern, sure. And as for the color black, yeah. Now let's see how this version of Maximus would impact the storyline of Tangled. Because Maximus is indifferent, he'd give up on chasing Flynn. Since he is dishonorable, he'd break the law to capture Flynn. Because he's stern, in the end, he'd remain cold and never bond with Flynn or Rapunzel. Craig, he looks like he's ready to quit, like whatever job a horse has. I'm gonna give you a 6 out of 10. Let's add him to the poster. He looks so depressed. I feel that. This is actually pretty solid. Next is Mother Gothel, the poster child for it's not what's on the outside, but on the inside that counts. Unless you're her. Craig, what are the 3 main attributes and key color of Mother Gothel? So according to Craig, her first attribute is manipulative. She deceives Rapunzel by pretending to be her caring mother. The second is vain. She is obsessed with preserving her youth. Third is deceptive. She masks her true intentions behind a loving persona. And the color she's most seen in is deep red. Okay, Craig, what is the opposite of manipulative, vain, deceptive, and deep red? So according to Craig, the opposite of manipulative is honest, the opposite of vain is humble, and the opposite of deceptive is selfless. And the opposite of deep red is green. Okay, Craig, using these new attributes and color, make us Mother Gothel as her opposite. I can definitely see some honesty in there. Humble, she looks so sweet and humble, like I can definitely see that. And selfless, she looks like she's so nice. And as for her new color green, I can definitely see it in her dress, so yeah. Now let's see how this version of Mother Gothel would impact the storyline of Tangled. Because she is honest, she'd openly admit her real reason for kidnapping Rapunzel. Since she is humble, she'd show no interest in maintaining her youth. Because she is selfless, in the end, she let Rapunzel go for her happiness. Craig, did you just turn Mother Gothel into a loving mother? Feels wrong, but impressive. I'm gonna give you an 8 out of 10. Let's add her to the poster. She actually looks like she'd give decent advice now. Weird. Like we'd actually need it. Next is the captain of the guard, who has 2 jobs. Keep the peace and look intimidating. Just like me. Oh, Craig, what are the 3 main attributes and key color of the captain of the guard? So according to Craig, his first attribute is disciplined. He follows rules strictly, maintaining order. The second is loyal. He is devoted to protecting the kingdom. Third is strategic. He thinks ahead, always planning the best course of action. And the color he's most seen in is red. Okay, Craig, what is the opposite of disciplined, loyal, strategic, and the color red? According to Craig, the opposite of disciplined is reckless, the opposite of loyal is disloyal, the opposite of strategic is impulsive, and the opposite of red is green. Okay, Craig, with these new attributes and key color, make us the captain of the guard as his opposite. So I can definitely see disloyal, reckless, yes, impulsive, yeah. And as for the color green, I can definitely see it in his sleeves, which used to be red, but now they're green. Now let's see how this version of the captain of the guard would impact the storyline of Tangled. Because the captain is reckless, he'd ignore protocol and make careless decisions. Since he's disloyal, he'd betray the royal family and abandon his duty. Because he's impulsive, in the end, he'd lead failed missions through poor planning. Craig, did the captain just get fired? Because that's what it looks like. I'm gonna give you a 5 out of 10. Let's add him to the poster. In a way, it kind of looks like he's dancing, like lifting the ceiling dance. And finally, we're gonna do Rapunzel. Craig, what are the 3 main attributes and key color of Rapunzel? So according to Craig, her first attribute is inquisitive. She's curious about the outside world and eager to explore. The second is courageous. She faces new challenges fearlessly. Third is optimistic. She sees the good in every situation, even when trapped in the tower. And the color she's most seen in is light pink. Okay, Craig, what is the opposite of inquisitive, courageous, optimistic, and light pink? So according to Craig, the opposite of inquisitive is complacent, the opposite of courageous is fearful, and the opposite of optimistic is pessimistic, and the opposite color of light pink is dark green. Craig, with these new attributes and key color, make us Rapunzel as her opposite. Complacent, she's definitely still in her tower, so she hasn't left yet, and it doesn't look like she wants to leave. Fearful, she looks really scared, like right now. Pessimistic, yeah. And as for the color green, she's wearing a green dress, so it's perfect. Let's see how this version of Rapunzel would impact the storyline of Tangled. Because Rapunzel is complacent, she'd stay in her tower, never questioning life outside. Since she's fearful, she'd be terrified of facing the outside world. Because she's pessimistic, in the end, she'd worry constantly about what could go wrong. Craig, this version of Rapunzel looks like she's already over it. I love it. I'm gonna give you a 9 out of 10. Opposite Rapunzel, less tower climbing, and more. I'll get to it eventually, just like me. Now, let's finish the poster. Ka-chow! Let's add this to the wall with the other cool posters. Guys, we did it. We have 3 movie posters, and this is just the beginning.